Welcome to episode 2 of Bumping the Night Society, exploring your society. I'm your host, Sean Bowman. My co-host, Tom Barker. Say what's up, Tom.
What's up, Tom?
We're here with Jay Blackburn and Drake Bowan, both from Hillview Manor, tour guides, fellow paranormal investigators. How about you guys tell us how you guys met?
Jay, you want to do it or you want me to?
Oh, you do it. Oh my God.
Well, long story made short, he still works there. I don't. We work together for a traffic control company, who will remain nameless. And just out of the blue, he starts calling me one night. I'm going, what the hell's this guy want? And we started talking. He says, I had a nickname that was given to me by coworkers at the time. They called me Ghostbuster because they found out that I into the paranormal. And he asked me why, and I explained it. And he goes, "Oh, cool! I love ghost hunting too. This, that, and the other." And we're going on 4 years now. Have we been best of friends?
Yeah. I've been up here. Yeah, I've been up here about 5 years. So yeah.
Yeah, about that. Around about that.
Mm-hmm.
And he started forming a team, and we got to talking about things, and we've been the best of friends ever since.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember back when me and Jen, when we got engaged, we had our bachelor party there. Like I met both you guys, and that was the first time. That was 2019. So I mean, it's been a few years.
Been a couple years, yeah. Over there at Hillview.
Yeah. So how'd you guys get involved with the paranormal then?
I'll let him go first, and then I'll jump in on it.
Well, I mean, for me, it was just one of those things I grew up with. Being from Eastern Kentucky. You got you have your McCoys and just different little urban legends and stuff. And my mother, my father, and all of them talked about seeing like little different looking lights. And my mother actually told me that she saw one of her grandmothers come down and actually stood there and actually had a whole conversation with her when she was like maybe 14 years old, something like that. And I was probably not 19, 18, 19.
Okay.
And my mom's dad passed away. And the night we buried him, I actually went back home, started laying down, started dozing off, and all of a sudden I felt covers, like a big heavy blanket that I always left at the end of the bed, come over top of me and start tucking me in. Now, mind you, this was in like right at the beginning of August. So in Kentucky, beginning of August, that's probably like the hottest month you got.
Yeah.
And when that started, when you get tucked in, you could feel it, up underneath you. I rose up and I saw a little slim figure, his height, his size, turn around and walk down the steps. I jumped up and I was like, what the hell was that? So they got me more asking questions, about what is actually there, what's after all this.
Now, how old were you when all that happened?
After my grandfather passed away, I was he was 99. I was going on 19.
Yeah, I didn't have my first paranormal experience. I was in my 30s, but that's cool.
Yeah, it was something.
What about you, Drake?
Well, I've always been interested in the paranormal from a young age on. I was that weird kid in grade school. People were reading, Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys and this, that, and the other. I was the one checking out the books on Bigfoot and UFOs and ghosts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Come about now, I got to think. Let's see, he'll be 28 this year. So probably about 19 years ago, my oldest boy and my ex-wife and I lived in a residence up in Venango County. here in Pennsylvania, and we were living with some friends of ours, and we were sharing a giant Victorian mansion, and always had weird things happening there. Like every Friday night at 1 o'clock in the morning, you would smell cinnamon bread being baked when there was no reason for it. Stove was colder than an ice cube. But one night I was up late and went to bed with the wife, and we turned around, and probably about an hour after we laid down, the oldest comes running up the stairs yelling, "Daddy, Daddy, she hit me, she hit me." And at the time, my buddy's wife was kind of venomous towards me and my wife and my ex-wife, thankfully ex-wife. um, and I thought she had hauled off and slapped my kid, and I said, "Where?" Turned on the light, and there's a woman's handprint on the side of my kid's head. And I said, not said, I more or less threw out the covers, went and grabbed my clothes, and was getting ready to go down, and I didn't care because what was going to happen, because nobody's going to hit my kid.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm going to kick Jackie's butt from here to tomorrow." And William looks at me, he says, "Daddy, it wasn't Aunt Jackie." And I said, "All right, who was it?" "Aunt Jackie's the only other woman in the house." He says, "The lady in purple, Dad." And I'm going, "What?" "Go back to bed." The next night I got up, I was playing around on the computer, and I got to the point where I just couldn't see straight, got up, went upstairs, because my ex-wife and I slept in the attic. And as I looked down the hallway, I saw a woman in a purple Victorian era dress that was just standing down at the end of the hallway looking at me like, "What are you doing in my home?" And I went to, raise the alarm, and she turned and walked through a wall and vanished on me. And I turned and said to my son, I said, the next day, I said, "Why did she hit you?" He's told me that a cradle had manifested in the middle of the room that he and his brother and their kids were sleeping in. And there was a baby in the cradle that started crying, and he went over to cuddle, not to cuddle, sorry, my brain's addled right now. He went to go and comfort the child, and the lady just manifested on the other side and hauled off and slapped him. So
Wow.
that kind of piqued my curiosity. And that's before everybody knew about taking pictures and using voice recorders and everything else.
Was there any history on the house at all, or do you know of?
A rudimentary history. We found out that there was another house that occupied the same lot. It sat a little bit further back, but in the Victorian era, it had caught fire and burnt down, killing a woman and a baby. So it's that area. Franklin, PA, is very, very active as far as the paranormal goes.
Okay.
Between there and Oil City, it's just like a hotbed. There's so many different hauntings up there. It's not even funny.
So what's up, Tom?
None, go ahead.
If you have a question, I was going to actually move on to next question.
No, go ahead, move to
Okay.
next.
So, I mean, like I said, I know you guys from Hillview. How'd you guys get involved with Hillview?
Well, I've known Carrie Trico for several years. I actually work for her electrician from time to time. Guy's name is Nick Markowitz. And Carrie had some problems. She called me and asked me for some help. And I came, lack of a better term, I came to the rescue and helped her get staffed back up. And she asked us if we'd stay around and help. And we'd been there. Well, I'm no longer there. I had to back away because it was taking up too much of my personal time.
Yeah.
I was working there 2 or 3 times a month, and just I literally was burning the candle at both ends on it, but enjoyed it. And then Jay was pretty much my cohort in crime for the whole time that I was there. And Lord knows we love to do, even when we're not at Hillview, like if we're out on one of the Oakmont paranormal investigations, we love to do things to prank each other while we're out running around. Jay's favorite song, he won't tell anybody, but is the Linus and Lucy theme from Peanuts. And there's a reason for that.
Nice.
You're welcome, Jay.
So what's your reason there, Jay?
Well, so you know the story of Hillview going, right in one north. They like all those different type of style musics, like Elvis and all them.
Yeah.
Well, this
Big
and over
band,
there,
big band, yeah.
he wanted to try something new, so he pulled up the Linus and Lucy thing. Well, as soon as it started up, you can literally feel like everyone that's down that hallway just come out of that hallway, and they're like surrounding both of us. I'm like, oh God!
I was blasting it through an auxiliary speaker.
Yeah.
We're opening up the building for the night, and I just got this brilliant, smart ass idea to see what would happen, and I started cranking it, and him being an empath, and I have empathic tendencies as well, but he's better at it than I am. These entities just swarmed him like a group meeting, and he just absolutely, he had chills running down his spine all up and down one north. He's going, I'm gonna kick your backside for that one, man. You're gonna pay.
Wow.
No, and he has gotten back at me for it.
Yes, I have.
Well, that's like, I know when we were there, me and Jen were playing Amazing Grace and Ave Maria in the chapel, and she's an empath also. She started crying, and I heard someone cough next to me that wasn't there.
Well, that Hillview Manor, and I'm pretty sure all three of you can agree, it's got to be the most haunted place in Western Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah.
With the Oakmont Paranormal Society, we have a fundraiser we run every year for the Carnegie Library of Homestead, wherein we actually set a record. We had 7.5 different full-bodied apparitions show up in 24 hours, but we can only investigate that place 2 nights a year. Whereas up at Hillview, I mean, if that's what we're catching in 2.5 nights, God knows what we're catching, what's happening there every day. I mean, people, well, that's a whole nother ball game. But at Hillview, it's nonstop. I mean, the entities have their ups and downs, but the things you see and witness there are just incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. I will always have a dear spot, a tender spot in my heart for Hillview Manor.
well, that's another story I remember too. Is I don't know if you remember or not, but I think the last time we had you as a tour guide, we were down in George's room, and you were talking about your son, and you said he had a connection with your son.
Yeah.
And the K2 meter was going opposite. Like instead of it going green to red, it was going red to green. And I've never seen that happen. It's the only time it's ever happened at the location.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons that Hillview is so special to me. Is because of George forming that relationship with my son Joshua. For those who don't know me or that might be watching, Joshua is 19 years old. He's autistic and epileptic. He has the functional IQ of a 10, maybe 11-year-old kid, if not less. And we had taken him there. Long story made short, he's a diehard Ghost Adventures fanatic. Yeah, Tom, you know all good and well what my thoughts are on Zach Bagans. And the sad thing is I didn't tell him where we were going that day. We went up for a cleanup day, and the first thing out of his mouth is, we're pulling into the property. Dad, I know that place. Zach Bagans was there. And I'm going, I'm going to kill you. But the long story made short, we went down, did an EVP session / ghost box session in George's room. And he we weren't getting a lot. I mean, we might get a sporadic hit on the EDI or the K2.
Mhm.
And I said, all right, Jay, let's wrap this up. I got to, because I still had to take the boys from Newcastle up to Venango County to drop them off at their mothers. And I shut off my voice recorder and I said, George, this is my son, Josh. Now, back in your day, you'd call him mentally retarded. Today, we call him autistic. But he's a diehard Steelers fan like you are. And I just wanted to introduce him to you. Joshua looked up and went, "Thank you, Mr. George. I love you." And Jay was one of the witnesses. It wasn't even a split second later. You heard George come right over the ghost box in a full sentence and say, "I love you too."
That's awesome.
Cool.
And every so often, until I stopped working at Hillview, George would go out of his way to come upstairs to the office. Jay, why don't you tell about that one night that we had George come up and ask for me through the Phasma?
Oh yeah, that was just me and you that night.
Yeah, just the two of us that night.
So we decided just to play around. You got those guys coming in investigating. So we decided to stay in the office and just play around with the Phasma box. And all of a sudden, you hear this guy come through asking for Drake, and then he started asking about Josh. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I was off at Taco Bell getting dinner, and
Taco Bell.
I called him. No, it wasn't Taco Bell. It was Arby's.
Was it Arby's that night?
Yeah, it was Arby's that night. But he calls me. He goes, "You need to get back up here." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Someone's coming through Phasma asking about you." And I'm like, "All right, just tell him I'll be there in a minute." We come back. I come back about 5 minutes later, got into the office, gave Jay his food, and this is somebody was asking for me. Who wants me? And George's voice came right through the Phasma and said, "Drake, how is Josh?" And I'm just looking at Jay like absolutely flabbergasted. Yeah, he's doing fine, George. Josh was slated to have some surgery because we had a stimulator implanted in his shoulder, and it malfunctioned and burned out, and so we had to get it taken out. And I said, he's going to have surgery here in a couple days, and tell him I said hi. And he broke contact. And I honestly, guys, I've never ever heard of an entity that would continually ask about somebody. I mean, granted, there's Jimmy. What's Jimmy's last name? The streaker from Hillview, Jay.
Jimmy Markle.
Oh, James Mark. No. Yeah, that's right. James Marker. Jimmy Snaps.
Yeah, the guy likes taking pictures or whatever, right?
Yeah.
The guy who loves taking pictures. He hates me with a passion.
Really?
And we actually did live sessions on Facebook, and you've heard Jimmy come over the radio and go F Drake and kiss my butt, Drake, and every vulgarity you can think of. But this is totally different in some aspect. It's that we have an entity who is consciously aware of somebody's medical situation and it keeps asking about them. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, so that's not a residual haunting. It's more of an intelligent one that you're dealing with on a constant,
regular basis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, and if you really had to classify Hillview, it's a definite intelligent haunting. There are some residual there, but the number of intelligent entities in that building is just outstanding. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Well, that's like, I don't know if you remember this too. The one time we were there, we had two of our friends actually leave because they thought they saw something. So I actually wanted to talk about the creeper.
Jay's best friend.
Yeah, I got him mad a couple weeks ago.
I'll let Jay answer that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my fair share of creeper stories because the creeper is something else.
Yeah, I'm just thinking just regular, if he was a guy, he just likes just being a
pain in the butt.
I was going to say tool, but yeah. Yeah, it seems like you can go up there, you can talk to like Mary Virginia and Eli and all them, and you won't even feel this thing, this dude.
Mhm.
But if you go up there and actually sit there with Jeffrey, and you know how Jeffrey is, you get stuff to light up. He'll come through like a spirit box, talk to you, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Just it's like soon as he starts communicating with you, this dude comes in that room and he just terrifies Jeffrey. And we was in the time clock hallway a couple weeks ago doing a live session, and we
They
just
found you.
I know. And so we was over there. We were just trying to see what's in that hallway, because that hallway is already, there's always some funny feeling in that hallway.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we was sitting over there. We was using the REM pod little that paranormal music box.
Mhm.
We was
Love
using
that,
that. Just all kinds of different things in that hallway, just all lined up. And Jeffrey,
People who don't know, like what floor is that on and what hallway you talking about exactly?
yeah, Tom, that's actually on the ground floor. Once you go past the little, well, it used to be the gift shop
Mhm.
one time, but it's actually the museum now. And just
Okay.
as soon as you go around there, you see the corridor. It's right there on the right hand side, and that goes through that time. You see a time clock on the hallway, and if you go a little bit farther, it heads you down one north. And yeah, and
Where the secondary elevators are.
yeah, I wouldn't advise trying to use them, but anyway. But yeah, we was over there, and Jeffrey started coming through. He started playing with like the little mag light we was using too. I'm like, "That's Jeffrey," and one of them came hollered at me. I walked over, and she was like, this thing's on this wall. It's like, what would it be on the wall? And you can literally feel him move around that wall. It's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, he's something else. I'll let Jay finish telling his story, but I've got a funny one about him.
We and once I started, Jeffrey just left the whole hallway. You could tell the whole difference in it. And I always pick on the guy anyway, so I kept on asking, "Come on, you got to have a name." And you hear somebody come through that spirit box, all that creep was like, "No, that's not your name." Kevin,
You didn't tell me that one.
and you hear this guy come through. No, I was like, fine, I'm gonna call you Pete. Oh, that was it. It was just on after that. You hear him holler out, "You need to leave." I was like, I ain't going no place. Then at the end, right at the end of the live feed, and if you get on there, watch it, like probably like within the last 2 minutes, you see this red orb come from where I was standing at and go toward Donnie, one of the other guys who was actually holding the phone when it went by him, and he even saw it.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm like, holy crap.
It's, for lack of a better term, we got a lot of attention. I'm not going to use the W word, but I'll say attention seekers in the entities at Hillview.
Mm.
And my favorite story about the creeper is I'm doing the tour one night for a group from Canada, and we got up onto the second floor in the middle of the building near the Snyder's apartment, and I'm telling them about the Snyders. I'm telling about the hair salon and how it was the women's chow hall, and showed them where the men's chow hall is. And I said, now we have an entity here that we like to call the creeper, and I'm talking about it and saying how he can change form and this, that, and the other. And I just happened to look down towards the new era cafeteria, the part that was built in the 70s.
Mm.
And I see this mass on the wall by where the bathrooms are drop to the floor, then to the ceiling, then to the floor, then to the wall with the windows, back to the bathroom wall, back over, just bouncing like a rubber ball all over the place. And I said, okay, folks, if you want to know what he looks like, there he is. Everybody turn around. I had 30 people look down that hallway look and just see this thing bouncing everywhere. And I said, all right, dude, that's enough. We know you're here. Knock it off. It falls flat onto the floor, stands up in the form of a human, and just walks into the cafeteria. And I'm sitting there. Everybody, we all had to pick our jaws up off the floor. And we're like, okay, moving along. We're going to go this way. But there's also the screamer. And yeah, Jay, I'm going to do this. You can smack me later. There's an entity. I can't remember her name. What did Annette tell us her name was, Jay? Helen or something like that?
Harriet.
Harriet.
I think it was Harriet.
Yeah, it's Harriet. We call her the screamer, because at random points, no matter what, this person would just up and scream. And you can hear this at, like I said, any given time. Well, we got around to Mary Ayella's room, which is on the second floor, just down from, just up from Jeffrey's room. And I'm telling the story about this, about Mary and her eyes to a group of about 10 people. And Jay's in another room because he heard some kind of noise. And I'm talking about, I had told the story about about Harriet screaming. And as I'm telling the story about Mary, hiding her eyes on the pillow, under the blanket, blah, 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 and scaring the snot out of the nurses, you heard the screamer come from down around by the Snyder's apartment. And I'm sorry, I'm busy right now, people. I don't know who you are. I love getting calls.
We're good.
Okay, so one of my favorite stories here at Hillview, and yeah, I'm going to do this to you, Jay. You can get me later. There's an entity up on the second floor there at Hillview that we call the Screamer, and we believe Annette Bove Holmes she's a psychic from a team in Venango County that had come down. We believe she picked out the name of this entity. Her name was Harriet, and she was very troubled and would just scream at random points. Well, apparently she still does it. We had a rather small group come in one night, and I'm doing the tour. Jay's being the one doing the role of, I like to call the herder. Because he would walk behind everybody and just kind of herd them along. And we get to Mary Ayella's room, and I start telling the story about Mary and how she would like to take her glass eyes out, put them on the pillowcase, cover it up with a blanket, and wait for new people to come, new staff to come in and find them. And right as I said, of course, what's going to happen? You find a pair of eyes sitting there, you're going to run and scream. It wasn't even a split second later that Harriet decided to rip off with a scream. But the interesting thing is that Jay was in another room up towards the nurse's station on that part of the second floor. And we're all going, oh my God, WTF, and everything else, and even me, because Harriet has a bad habit. She has no set schedule. She just fires off at random. And Jay's looking at us. He comes walking back out. He goes, what's the matter with y'all? I'm like, dude, what? You didn't hear that? And he goes, the hell are you talking about? And I'm like, dude, it was this. You did not hear the screamer. No, I don't know what you're talking about. I was in the other room, and we're all looking at him like, what the hell? But Jay actually just brought up a valid point. Why don't you explain it, Jay?
Well, the way I see it is, like I said, some people can actually see it and they can hear it. Mm-hmm. And I believe when it comes to Harriet that night, she wanted you guys to hear her instead of me. So that's probably why I didn't hear nothing.
And I'm going to have to agree. It's long been a theory of mine that entities will pick and choose who they make themselves known to. And that's just further proof of it. I mean, I've had people go down that have been to Hillview ever since I haven't been there, and they keep mentioning my son Joshua's encounter with George, and George won't answer them. You know, but there's also people that won't get anything out of Hillview Manor. We have you have skeptics who go in from time to time. They're like, oh, there's no such thing as a ghost, or it's not real. You know who I'm thinking about, don't you, Jay?
I believe so, yeah.
The darling ex, my ex-girlfriend.
Oh,
We
that was funny.
that was funny. Ex-girlfriend of mine. We were up at Hillview. That was just a cleanup day, wasn't it, Jay? That she joined us up there.
No, I think it was the end of the year little deal.
Oh, that was the end of the year party.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. And we set a Phasma box up on the third floor, trying to get Jimmy to cuss at me. And she's like, yeah, nothing ever happens to me. This is the, this, that, the other. And I said, all right, guys, my girlfriend doesn't believe that you guys are here. Can somebody tell me what her name was? You heard loud and clear over the Phasma box, Anna, and it was a woman's voice that said it.
Yeah.
And Anna's going, I'm done. I'm out. Bye. I'll see you guys downstairs.
That's crazy. So she was a believer after that?
Well, she's always been skeptic, but she's always been a believer.
Yeah.
We had some stuff happen like out at Gettysburg at the Battlefield Bed and Breakfast. She and I slept in the barn when we were there about 3-4 years ago. And we were sleeping in the tack room of the barn that they completely revamped into an apartment. And we hear footsteps going up back and forth. Now, it was in the middle of March, and the low temperature was -17 without wind chill that night. And we're in bed, and she's absolutely freaking out, going, oh my God, it's the horses, And I had 2 cameras running that night, ran them all night. I picked up the monitor, I looked at it, and I went, honey, there's nobody upstairs. And I walked over, looked out the back door that feeds right out into the corral. And all 3 horses were standing there looking at me like, hi, who are you? And I'm like, and the horses are out back, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs, shut up, leave me alone. Let me debunk it, or I'm never going to get any sleep. So it's weird. I mean, I honestly believe that entities will show themselves to different people. We actually have a case that just got brought to our team's attention. We're going to be doing it in April or May. It'll actually be going onto a television show.
Oh, nice.
But this entity, the weird thing is that the entity that's involved, her name is Amelia, and she's an escaped slave from the Civil War. But she actually requested our team to come up. She told the homeowners that she wanted to talk to their friend Drake and his friends.
That's cool.
So
That's
I'm like,
cool.
okay, that creeped me out.
So I'm not a big fan of these TV shows and all these guys, but I'm sure, who would you say was your favorite, or who's somebody that made an impression on you guys?
Tag, Jay, you're it.
Oh, wow.
You know good and well where I'm going to go.
Tough question, huh?
I need to get a piece of paper so I can go. And you know who sucks.
Well, yeah. I would see. Wow.
All right, we can move on if you want to.
No. I mean, I would have to
Say
be.
me, I don't care.
I would actually have
It's
to be.
you, Tom.
The way I investigate, I would have to really lean on the original Ghost Hunters, because the way they done it, they really didn't use a whole lot of apps, which I've came to that point, and you can ask Drake, I don't use a whole lot of apps no more.
Yep.
I mean, there was one we use on the cell phone, but I got to the point I don't even want to see it.
Yeah.
And as far as that app goes, it's probably one of the best ones I've ever seen.
Which one is that?
Ghost. Hang on one second here.
Oh, you
Ghost
got it?
hunting tools, right? I think you told me
Ghost
about
hunting tools.
Yeah.
it. I have it on my phone.
Yeah, I just got the
Yeah,
phone.
Ghost hunting tools.
Yeah, I
It's
just
a
leaned
blue
away
background, blue background with a black handprint. It's that we've had a lot of success with it. And Jay's right. Why cell phone apps are just that, and that's something. Whenever I teach people how to ghost hunt, I tell them on a regular basis. This is. You look at the description of the app. It says for entertainment purposes only, and
Right.
whereas with this ghost hunting tools, I used it at my late father's residence when I felt something in the background, and I put two and two together and realized it was my dad trying to get my attention. He'd only been dead for like a year, and I said, "Dad, what do you want? Hold on." I fired it up. I said, "What's wrong, Dad? Why are you still here?" And it fired off with three different words. It said, "How about William?" William's my oldest boy, and this happened about 2 years ago because my son moved down to North Carolina to live with my older brother and go to nursing school, and he actually graduated. But I said, "Dad, he's down at Doug's house, and he's enrolled in college, and he's going to go out and become a nurse." And true to form, he did. He's now an LPN. But the next word that cropped up was excellent, and my dad broke off all ties after that. And in retrospect, it just I had to stand there for a couple minutes and cry because I wasn't expecting that kind of a reaction even out of my dad. My dad was a very very big Bible thumper.
I have like a similar type of story too. I know a lot of people don't like the ghost apps, but I've had some things happen that were kind of crazy, and
that's why that's the only one I'll recommend to anybody. I'll even you both know that during the tours at Hillview, I would tell you if you don't have tools, you have an Android or an Apple phone, just download this and use it.
Yeah.
Right.
But in answering Tom's query, the one team that I've only seen one episode, but it made such an impression on me was Deep South Paranormal, and they have a backwater bayou medicine man, for the lack of a better term, on the team. They did something, and they were trying to contact a lady who died at a dam or a water with a windmill or something like that, and the medicine man's out on the water calling this lady by name, doing the voodoo that he do, and it worked. They show in night vision footage of the shadow of a woman walking along the top of the dam, who influenced a lot of my techniques. It's got to be Ghost Hunters and my hero, Ghost Adventures.
That's Tom's favorite too.
No, yeah, Tom and I have had.
I don't have a problem with any of the ghost shows, but it's just not my technique, and they just seem to always have some going on, which isn't very realistic. And
There's and I agree with you wholeheartedly, Tom. I mean, how many times, I remember watching an episode of Ghost Hunters. They were down at the OK Corral, and they had Grant sleeping in a bed. And the story was that there was a prostitute there who liked to take the blankets off the men sleeping in that bed. And lo and behold, they're showing him on camera, and you watch as this blanket just miraculously pulls back, but you can also see the fishing line that they used it for.
Really?
Yeah. If I could ever just walk up and get away with slapping somebody, it would be him and the bald guy. There was an episode they did at New Orleans at the U.S. Mint. They had an audible howl from inside the building as the door opened and closed, and they did not submit it to the client as evidence. And I mean, they debunked it and they couldn't prove it. And I'm sitting there going, that's the best piece of evidence you got for the whole episode,
Mhm.
why wouldn't you show it off? No, it was music from outside. No, it
Right.
was not. No, it was not.
I think we lost Jay again. I don't know where he went.
Uh-oh. Jay, come back. I miss you. Hang on, let me shoot him a message here. Oh man.
I have a couple questions for you, Drake, anyway.
Oh, his internet died.
Okay.
All right, let me okay. Yeah, it might be a couple minutes before he's able to come back up.
Okay. I saw that you have a background in photography.
Mhm.
How did you get involved doing that?
Just incidentally, just straight out of curiosity.
Okay.
My grandfather and my father were both amateur photographers, and I've always wanted to take pictures ever since I was a kid. I've had several good cameras over the years, and there's times I amaze myself. If anybody that's watching this is on Facebook,
Mhm.
they look up Dragon Ken photography. That's my amateur photography page on Facebook.
Okay.
There's pictures I never edited. Some of the pictures I did. Some of the pictures I didn't touch. Excuse me. Two of my favorite pictures. There's one of a cannon, a World War I cannon in Verona, Pennsylvania. It just happened. These pictures were all taken on the same day. My ex-girlfriend Barbara had told me to, because I wasn't working that day. She goes, just take the camera, go out and start taking pictures.
Mhm.
And I was able to catch the snowfall across the valley to the other side where the old Route 28 ran by, and it looks like a model, like a miniature model, like for a train layout.
Okay.
And I have no idea how I did it. I just looked over, took the picture, and thought that would be a great shot,
Mhm.
And same thing for the cannon. It's just a pastime, I tried to get it kicking it off the ground, and it just never worked.
Have you ever done any like weddings or anything like that, or?
No, I've never had the invite, but
Okay.
I would definitely be open to it.
Yeah.
The actual true photographer on our team is actually Ruthie Wolf.
Okay.
Jay's trying to restart his router. Ruthie is far better at photography than I am. She's incredible with her work. If it comes down to I can't debunk a paranormal picture, I'll ship it over to Ruthie from time to time and say, hey, give me your insight, and she'll fill me in.
Mhm.
But it's just something to keep me out of trouble, or
Right.
or get me in trouble.
Yeah, I like photography too, but you got to have a certain eye for that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And I actually did 2 weddings of people I knew because I was kind of into it, but both grooms died within a year. So I'm like, no more for me. I'm done.
If I could go back, if I could find who caught the pictures my grandfather took when I was a kid, I would love to have those. I mean, I like to think that, I inherited my talent for photography from him. Don't get me wrong. My dad took several great pictures when he was younger, when he was alive. But my granddad just really had an eye for it. Really did.
Yeah, I had a pretty decent 35 millimeter camera, and I took it to, and they're actually published in a book of international photography or something like that. But
Not bad.
it
Not
was
bad.
pretty cool. But anyway,
It's all good, man.
not me.
Well, yeah, we all still love you, man.
Yeah, right.
Platonically, man, platonically.
Well, I don't know. You touched on the Oakmont Paranormal Society a little bit, and I know you do stuff for the Carnegie Library too.
That's right.
You want to talk about a little bit about that, I guess, since Jay isn't here?
Well, hopefully we can get him back in there. He's trying to reboot his router right now. That's just weird. What's funny is that Jay has at least one or two entities that haunt his home.
Okay.
And we know that little Jeffrey has followed him home a couple times. And of course, as soon as we put two and two together, Jay's like, you need to go home. Go home, Jeffrey. But we formed, actually, this is going to be, this July 11th is our 11th anniversary of forming the Oakmont Paranormal Society. Okay. And to celebrate it, we're going to be going to the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum for our first hunt there. But we're actually bringing back Carol Dameron. Carol's an ex-girlfriend, go figure. Hopefully soon, maybe, possibly even maybe, she and I've been talking, so she may be my girlfriend. I'm kind of crossing fingers because I love her to death. But she and I were sitting there watching the Ghost Hunters one night about 11 years ago, and she looked at me and said, I bet you 10 to 1 if we could form a team, we could do this better than they can. And that was like a proverbial swift kick in the butt for me. I turned around, fired up Facebook, and I just threw it out there and said, anybody that's interested in paranormal, I'm starting a team. We don't have a lot of equipment, but we're going to do this. Hit me up. And that was the birth of the Oakmont Paranormal. Originally, we were called Oakmont Paranormal Investigations.
Okay.
The acronym being OPI. So, I'm sitting there going, who's going to want to call on ghost hunters called Opie? So, incidentally, Opie ended up becoming the nickname of our team mascot. Okay. Opie is actually one of the hallmark ghost in a jar routines, but he's been on every single investigation we've ever done.
Nice.
And it's kind of funny about that. But one of the main things that happened with us right after we formed the team is that I got involved with the Carnegie. His internet's back. He'll be back in a minute. One of the episodes that Ghost Hunters did was the Carnegie Library of Homestead, just down by the waterfront. And I'm sitting there watching this show and I'm going, what in the hell? I mean, there was obvious stuff that was fake. I mean, like they were in the men's locker room and they heard a locker slam. And that was blatantly obvious. You could hear the bench moving as one of their people shifted it over and slammed it off of the lockers. So I placed a call after I watched the episode, and I said, look, we're with the Oakmont Paranormal Society, and we would like to come down and debunk what they caught. There was only one thing that I could not debunk right off the bat that Ghost Hunters did catch, and that was the dog on the stage with Jason, where the dog starts snapping at something on the stage, midair, and they let us go down and tour it. And I said, well, if you ever want to do a fundraiser or something, just hit me up. It was just kind of a on a whim kind of notice. And we turned around, and about 6 or 7 months later, I get a call from at the time, director of the library, and said, we need to do a fundraiser. Would you bring some of your ghost hunters in? Mm-hmm. And we've been running fundraisers for them ever since. It's been I think because we had to miss last year because of the coronavirus pandemic, and we're praying that we'll be able to pick it back up this year. It's next to Hillview Manor. It's probably one of the best places I've ever investigated. But to date, if we were to put all the days together consecutively, we've raised them over $35,000 for their operations.
That's awesome.
It's one of my favorite jokes that I don't know why, but they like me for some reason. But when it came down to debunking ghost hunters on the stage, my oldest boy went with me one weekend, and it was about a month and a half before we were due to run the fundraiser, and I believe that was our first or second year. And I stood up on the stage with a K2 meter. I had him take the camera, and I had a voice recorder running, and I immediately got cold, and I had him start taking pictures. And I, with the voice recorder running, the K2 meter jumped up to 10 and held it. I'm walking back and forth, can't find find anything. We lost him again.
Yeah, I saw that.
Damn it, Jay, come on. Anyway, and I went back and reviewed the recorder, and I said something to Will. I said, it's cold right here. Well, when I said that, he snapped a picture and got a big green orb that showed up on the picture. And at the exact same time, the K2 spiked back out to 10 or back up to red. And I caught a recording of a Scottish voice saying, "You two there, put your stuff down." And in retrospect, some years later, I was listening to audio recordings that Andrew Carnegie had made. And lo and behold, it was the exact same voice. So
Wow.
I'm one of the few people in this day and age that have actually talked to Tom. Yeah, I talked to Tom. I've actually talked to Andrew Carnegie, and he and I are actually on a first name basis.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's cool.
Yeah, well, that's what you get when you call somebody a self-centered, egotistical, skirt-wearing son of a bitch. And that fateful night, he came through an Ovilus 3 and asked for me by my birth name, and everybody's going, "Who's this Mark guy? Who's this Mark guy?" I'm like, "Well, that's me. You better get out into the library. Somebody, we think it's Andrew Carnegie's asking for you." And long story made short, I asked questions that only he would have known the answers to. And he answered them spot on. And I'm going, "Well, Mr. Carnegie, what can I do for you?" And he comes up, "Idiot," right over top of the Ovilus. It's incredible. The place is just incredible. I mean, Jay can agree with me. We've just seen so much stuff that's happened at the Carnegie Library of Homestead.
Oh yeah.
Jay, why don't you talk about some of your experiences there, man?
Really wasn't a whole lot.
You had enough with you and your buddy down in the basement.
Yeah, that was interesting, really. I mean, I went down there, and at the library there was two sections, and one of them was just like all the equipment, and this other section was just more like storage, I believe, wasn't it, Drake? Did you use that one section just like a storage room?
Yeah, it's just like a storage area.
And
What the heck was that? Tom, you ate dinner, right?
It wasn't me.
I don't know what that was either.
That wasn't at my end.
No.
Or was that Moo? Jay, was that Moo?
No, he's actually downstairs. I locked him outside. Locked him downstairs tonight. Yeah, he'll be up here in a minute. No, I mean, on that one section though, I walked in, and you got that vibe, like, this whatever's in here don't want you in there, and it's really, letting you know that they don't want you in that area.
Yeah.
And what was it? Was that the second night when all that started going on with me?
Yeah, that was the second night. You know, and in retrospect, we had an entity not bad encounters with that entity.
No, no.
Whoever he is, if I recall correctly, he's a farmer from the 1700s who still believes that that was his farm. But he would change temperatures to read. He would change the temperatures on thermometers to read 666. He's growled at us. He's cussed at us. But what he did to Jay was even more interesting.
No, yeah. So I was sitting in there, I had the recorder going, just really just sat there, see if I can catch something, you know. And one of the other ones came through the doorway, and all of them looked, Jay, you need to, you know, get out of that room, man. What are you talking about? You know.
Well, he was redder than a beet and pissed off 9 ways to hell.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even feel really angry or anything. And, you know, I walked out, and then my color started coming back normal, and you know, I was like,
It
you know
was
what?
weird.
I'm gonna do it again. So I walked back in there, and as soon as I crossed that doorway, it just like that started again.
Yeah, and he actually did it in front of me.
Mhm.
And that just like I'm going, wait a minute. Jay, go outside and have you a couple cigarettes, man. And he's like, I'll be fine. And he walks
Yeah,
out. He walks out of the room, and he's like, "What's up, Ghost?" I'm like,
yeah.
"Who are you, and what have you done with my best friend?"
Well, if there's anything I can do to help you guys with a fundraiser or something like that, I don't want any credits for it, but I'm more than willing to help you guys.
Oh yeah, of course. You know, we're always, and this is for anybody that watches your show.
Mhm.
You know, any other teams around the greater Pittsburgh area, Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio, Northern West Virginia and Virginia, even Maryland. We've even had I think we had somebody come from New York the one year. I don't recall, but we try to rotate teams through so that they can get the experience of investigating the place, because the board of directors of the Carnegie Library Homestead, they know it's haunted. We have plenty of evidence over the 10 years. I mean, we could do it just to show a whole session on your show just about that place.
Right.
You know, but they don't let, you know, I've tried pitching a proposal to them, and they just don't want to do it. They don't want to bank on the paranormal part of the building. I mean, they have the music hall. The place is huge. It's got a 1,000-seat music hall. The 1,000-seat music hall. It's got a full gym, complete with basketball court and running track. An Olympic-sized swimming pool in the basement, plus the library and a community area. You know, it's a lot to upkeep it, and you know, they've got plenty of stuff to come and help them bring money. You know, up until the 1980s, they were funded by a hedge fund that Andrew Carnegie set aside specifically for that library. And sometime in the 1980s, the delightful person that runs Alcoa, was in charge of that financial board of Alcoa, said, "Oh, well, you know, Andrew's dead. You guys don't need this funding anymore." And he took the funds and put it somewhere else. And the libraries had to get money on their own.
Right.
You know? So, you know, definitely we'll keep you guys in mind for this year, if we do get to do it. You know, and I'm praying by then, you know, all this coronavirus crap is lifted.
Yeah.
You know, that was it was disappointing last year that we couldn't do it, you know, because it's an incredible time. It really is. You know, one thing that our team is not noted for is that we all bring food. And you walk into the break room that's only for paranormal. We've actually had to mark the room the one year, if I remember right, paranormal staff only, because we had people wandering into there. Oh, look, food, and starts snacking on food. But it's like a virtual smorgasbord, you know, and that probably won't change when we go to the Trans Allegheny this year, especially with it being our team birthday. We're probably going to have a ton of food there, but I don't want everybody thinking that hey, Oakmont Paranormal only is we only go to their events because of the food.
Well,
Although I will throw it out there, we got some pretty damn good cooks in there. We have 2 people on our team, Carrie and Judy Dancer. They make a wicked shortbread.
Nice. Well, there's so many more questions I have to ask you, but we're running on time. I don't know if you see it says 4 minutes again. Hopefully it's going to end up kicking us off probably.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
So anything you guys want to plug, anything upcoming, whatever?
Jay, what's going on in Hillview lately? You're better off with that than I am.
yeah, they got a fundraiser event coming up.
Okay.
I think in April, I believe. Yeah, April the 12th or 13th, something like that. I have to look at it, but it's the Steel City Ghost Hunters.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I guess he's one of the newest teams in that area. And
Derek and his crew.
no, Shade something. I can't.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen it posted.
Oh, that's Iron City. My bad.
Yeah, he's that everything that they bring in is going straight to the roof
Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
that they need.
Yeah, that's needed. That's very needed.
Hmm.
The roof at Hillview has been a constant pain in the butt. As far as we go, we've been in Oakmont Paranormal has been involved with the Bolstermeyer Historical Society out there in Greensburg, and we've gotten enough evidence for them. They're actually going to contemplate opening it up. It'll be a brand new location to teams throughout Western Pennsylvania to hit. So we've been working with them on that.
Okay.
Again, we have the Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum that we're going to be doing. We've also been talking to Bushy Run Battlefield.
Okay.
They did a ghost walk a couple years ago. They had a great turnout, and for whatever reason they chose a different team, which that's their choice. That's their prerogative. They went with another team to help them with that, and they came to us afterwards and said, "Hey, would you guys please come in and help us?" So we're in discussion with them on that. We're also looking at a couple different, maybe some trying to do some Bigfoot hunting this year.
Okay.
For those on our team that can handle the trek.
Yeah.
Because where we're looking at hunting, other than Bushy Run Battlefield, is kind of back in the woods a ways, and not a lot of us are exactly in the best of shape, myself especially. But yeah, and again, I have to shout out with this being our 11th birthday, with our very special guest Carol Dameron coming with us. It's going to be good because this will be the first ghost hunt she's done in probably about 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
She moved out to Ohio, and it just fell out of it over the years. But I fired her off in an email and said, "Look, you helped us form the team. We want you there." And all I got back was a big fat OMG in that email. So we're really looking forward to getting Carol back in the field.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys both for being on. I'm sure we'll talk to you guys again.
Hey guys,
Soon.
good to see both of you. And as I like to say to everybody, stay
sure.
spooky.
All right, guys.
All right,
Hey,
guys.
whatever you guys take care of yourselves and keep us updated. We'll swap info each direction. Okay.
For sure.
Sounds good to me.
All right, guys.
All right, man.
All
Peace
right.
out.
All right, Jay.
See ya.
Did you hear a bump in the night?